What is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Justin Perri, and welcome into the ShotQuality podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into some of the intricacies of the Damian Lillard trade, the blockbuster trade that just occurred in the NBA. And we're going to be diving into a little bit around the SQ numbers specifically, trying to help you understand some of the, bits and pieces of the counterparts and parts of the trade that are moving around with the SQ numbers so that you might be able to get a better handle on what to expect this NBA season. Today, I'm going to be joined by two correspondents from our SQ news media group, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to have Alec, Musa, and Brett Koremenos in here with me today. Guys, welcome into the show. And I'm excited to get your take on this massive trade, maybe one of the biggest we've seen in recent memory. Brett, I know you've been covering it a little bit for us over on the ShotQuality Twitter. What was your first impression of this trade when you heard about
it? The word wow pumped into my head, right? Just kind of out of the nowhere, the whole talk of the all offseason was Lillard was going to Miami. But I think this was probably prompted by Giannis's comments about saying that he wanted to be a part of a championship contender. And so they went all in. I mean, this is an all in move. Like if you look at the capital that went out on the back end, the lack of flexibility, the luxury tax payments they're going to be making, we are winning a championship with this move or our franchise is wrecked. So I think wow was kind of the first thing.
Yeah. Musa, what did you think?
Well, same thing. It's a lot of moving pieces, which you would expect with a player of the caliber of Damian Lillard moving. It was a lot to digest. And first, it says Damian Lillard is going to Milwaukee. Jusuf Nurkic is going to Phoenix. Damian Lillard to Portland. But there was a lot more to it than just that for all sides. But it was awesome. A little NBA splash a couple months before the season starts. I like it.
Yeah, it's a really exciting trade to see sort of come alive. And so for anyone who didn't hear the full details of this trade, right, the Bucks are going to get Damian Lillard from the Trailblazers. The Blazers are getting DeAndre Ayton from the Suns. The Bucks are sending the Blazers Jrue Holiday, and then the Suns get Jusuf Nurkic. And then there's a couple other bits and pieces flying around. Grayson Allen moving, a few other guys. This is a pretty dramatic trade, right? Like we don't see so many moving pieces. It's a new start a little bit for DeAndre Ayton, who was maybe growing tired of Phoenix himself. I know there was always some feelings there that he wasn't really living up to the hype that he was brought in as a first-round draft pick, and going to be interesting to see what happens with Jrue. Of course, there's some speculation that he might just move on from Portland, be a very high-priced trade piece. But let's get into some of these stats from ShotQuality, which uses location data and AI, computer vision, to pull shot-by-shot data from video feeds in order to analyze how valuable a shot is based on location, defender distance, closeout speeds, things that you can only really get by understanding the motion and the location. So we're going to go into some of the key stats for Damian Lillard to maybe understand what he's going to bring to the Bucks. So what we see for Dame here, as I get his numbers up on the screen, and if you're joining us in an audio format, definitely make sure to check it out on YouTube. We always stream live. The video's always up. You can like, subscribe, helps us continue to make some really great content. And of course, if you're an audio person and you're watching on Twitter, definitely make sure to find us on all of your favorite, podcast formats. But here's some really great stats for Lillard, right? We have him up on the screen here. 96th percentile in efficient free throw shooting. Already know he's going to lock it down fourth quarter. He's that guy you want with the ball in his hands. He's not missing those key free points. Really high rate getting to the line, but efficient in the mid-range. Really efficient creating his own shot. And a very high steal rate, going to get you those extra possessions and help tip the game your way. Brett, I'm going to come to you a little bit here first. What do you think are the main areas of improvement that we can expect from the Bucks now that they've added Lillard?
Well, it's kind of the erratic nature of Jrue Holiday. I mean, the offensive upgrade there is pretty massive, especially if you look at the sheer volume of Lillard and the chances that he had to create on all those Portland teams. It's nowhere near what Jrue Holiday had to do for the Bucks because he always had Middleton, or Middleton who's been hurt for a little bit, or Giannis. So the volume is the most impressive part of those efficiency numbers. And then also one of the things that we tweeted out on our feed was the bad possession rate tells you a lot too. That's kind of basically our metric to just show possessions that were below about 0.66 points, SQ points per possession. Drew Holiday's was 36%. Lillard's was 26%. And again, when you factor in the volume, that just kind of shows you the number of dead possessions that Holiday could have sometimes. He doesn't have that elite ability with the ball in his hands to create efficient shots out of nothing. And that's going to be big for the Bucks, not just in the regular season, but especially in the playoffs when teams are locking in defenses, when they have very specific schemes. That possession rate is probably going to be the most telling number that we have to tell you about the upgrade of this trade.
I think that's a really great way to take a look at it, and highlights how you can start to predict what is actually going to be the new look for this Bucks team, as we are, still about 3-4 weeks out of the NBA season tipping off. Brett, one more question for you. What do you think is the need that the Bucks still maybe have to fill? What's going to be their potential weak point now that they bring in Damian Lillard, maybe lose a couple of those other pieces? Where's maybe the hole in the armor?
Oh, it's going to be the point of attack defenders for sure. I mean, that is the thing in Holiday. I'm sure we at ShotQuality are going to do our best to always try to translate that kind of stuff into tangible metrics that we can use. But it's a little bit ambiguous what the value of point of attack defenders are. We can kind of tell the value of big guys that can protect the rim. That's been something the NBA has gotten pretty good at, and people covering the NBA have gotten pretty good at over the last few years. But they are going to need guys that can come in and just basically not have it be a parade to the paint. And when you're looking at it right now, if they make a move of moving Chris Middleton to the bench to kind of balance out their lineup and also just to kind of manage his minutes a little bit better, it looks like it might be a Damian Lillard, Malik Beasley, Pat Connaughton backcourt for them. Those names are not synonymous with being stoppers. So I think on the veteran buyout market, whether it's a two-way guy, G League hunting, whatever, they're going to need guys that can come in and slow people down.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And you talk about how good Damian Lillard is with his steal rate. Drew Holiday on ShotQuality, 91st percentile on the steal rate. So they're going to miss that a little bit. He's one of the best defenders in the league, and can really shut down what is now the genotype in the NBA is your best scorer is usually your ball handler. We have these point forwards. We have all of these really talented shooters, Steph, Trey. I mean, Dame. You want someone who can get in their face and kind of take them out of the game at least a little bit. And Drew is one of those players. Musa, I want to come to you a little bit about how you're feeling about all this. Brett's doing a killer job talking about some of the details and how we can use ShotQuality. Let's talk a little bit about, how maybe we can go and attack some of the betting markets for this team right now. I mean, the betting numbers for the Bucks, they're currently priced around plus 375 to win the championship. 4-1 is out there. Win total around 55.5. Giannis and Lillard both sitting on some decent MVP numbers. Giannis a lot, more expected to be that guy getting those, 50 PRA nights. What do you make of some of these numbers? Anything you're looking at, Moose?
My big thing, I was going to talk about it with the Suns as well, is making these trades in the offseason is big for continuity purposes within a team, and having a whole squad gel together and learn about each other's strengths and weaknesses on and off the court. I think that's just big in terms of getting off on the right foot and winning games early and often. You see a lot of times teams will make moves right before the season or in the season, and it takes a minute to get going. You even saw it with the Suns last year with KD. He was a little banged up when he came over to Phoenix, missed some time, missed some time again. It takes a minute. So maybe watch a little preseason basketball, see how they play, how Giannis plays off ball with Damian Lillard, or Lillard plays off ball, or the trio of him, Lillard, and Middleton work together. But I think the win total and championship are right where they should be.
Yeah, I think these are pretty good numbers, Brett. Any real takes from you here? Do you think 55 is a tough number for this team? And we know
I actually think it's going to be go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that, we have this new rest rule in place now in the NBA too. So like stars aren't even allowed to sort of rest as much now to help, not really for the odds or anything, but so that fans going to the game can get a good show, right? Like you pay for these tickets, day comes along and both of your favorite team members aren't playing. It's a little disappointing. So could that impact? I don't know. What do you make of the win total?
I think it's going to be interesting because, Mike Budenholzer's Bucks teams and even in Atlanta, they're always really good at kind of winning the meta game on the margins, right? So they were going to always protect the paint, give up a lot of threes. That kind of variance usually plays out in their favor over the long term, right? And the NBA is such a weird sport because the dynamic between the regular season and the postseason, it's almost not like the same thing at all. Rotations get shorter, defensive schemes stop being vanilla because you're just trying to get through night to night where maybe you only have a walkthrough to get ready for the game. And Budenholzer's teams were just good at it fits our website, right? Just usually taking better shots in the aggregate than their opponents throughout the regular season. Then the pratfalls would come in the playoffs when it wasn't as easy to just generically do that, right? And so I think the ironic thing about this Bucks team is might be worse in the regular season than they ever have been, but far better suited for the playoffs. So I would actually like the championships odds better than I would like betting the over the win total, because I think even with the new rest rule, this team is going to have some holes. They're going to have some nights with their defensive scheme and their current personnel where they're just going to get rocked and they're going to give up 130, 140 points. And so I think we're going to see some pretty ugly losses that we maybe wouldn't see in the Bud era. But I think this team is far more built to win a championship, win 7-game series.
I think that's some really sharp analysis. Brett, you are coming back on the show soon, dude. I love it. No, I think that's a really great point, right? Like we're going to see a team that is probably a little bit better engineered for those shorter rotations. I mean, having star power is kind of what that allows you to do, right? So, and they might get rocked by a dominant second unit, and that's not really the type of thing you're going to see in the playoffs. So we'll see. I'm really excited to see how this Bucks team turns out. I think there's a lot on the line for them. And another team involved in this trade that's a lot on the line for the Phoenix Suns, of course, shipping away DeAndre Ayton, getting Nurkic. Musa, I mean, you're in Arizona. You're our local hometown Southwest guy out there. We love having the perspective, the vibes from the fan. We got a little bit.
He's the Suns fan, and I'm wearing the Suns shirt. So it's
okay. So are you a Suns fan, Brett?
No. I went back in my old life. We used to work with a couple of guys around the team, and this is just a shirt that's made it through. So.
Oh, it's a great shirt. They have great gear, great color scheme, one of the best in the NBA, in my opinion. So, but Musa is in the area, always has a good pulse on this team. I mean, what's the feeling around Ayton leaving? What are you thinking that this team's going to feel like? What improvements have they made here? Choose one and get started.
Yeah, no, the feel around the trade from fans, because a lot of my best friends are diehard Suns fans. Like, I like the Suns. I watch them from time to time in the regular season. I'm locked in the playoffs, but I'm talking guys that take time out of their nights, day in and day out, 82 games to watch every minute. And they don't think that the package that was brought back with shipping out DeAndre Ayton was what they expected. They thought the Suns should have got more than just Nurkic, Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. But what I try to tell them is just pump the brakes a little bit. Let me explain using ShotQuality. It wasn't a plug. It was more so, calm down. Listen to me for a second, because as good as Ayton was offensively, he cost a lot of money, and it with the new scheme that the Suns are trying to run on both sides of the court, you don't want to try to fit a square peg into a round hole. That's what I try to tell them. And if you want to turn DeAndre Ayton into this defensive paint beast that gets rebounds and it doesn't necessarily use his offensive strengths, that's not who he is. He is very, very good offensively. Defensively, he is also very good. But Nurkic, he comes with a less a cheaper price tag, and he's still 97th percentile in blocks and spacing. He can space the court on offense. He's very good on defense. He's 95th percentile in passing. He's very good at facilitating the ball, whether it's down in the low block or wherever it may be. And he's in the 87th and 91st percentile in rolling and cutting to the basket. Now, Ayton was better in those two metrics, but just slightly better. I think Ayton was 92nd in rolling and 94th in getting a drop-off pass on the cut. So he was very good at it, but it's not like Nurkic is a bum at it. And his struggles when shot quality, his bad possession rate, and the things he didn't do necessarily well was he was in the 46th percentile or worse in posting up in both blocks, driving to the hoop, or pulling up in the post-up for a post-up jump shot, or taking a guarded three. I would like to imagine that with a team with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, he's not going to need to post up and, unleash his offensive bag per se. I think it'll be more of the cutting and the rolling and the blocks and the passing and the rebounding, which he's amazing at. And I think that's what the system is built for when it comes to the five-man. And I think that's what the Suns got, and I think that will behoove them, especially in the playoffs.
You're onto something, right? Like this team, if they had Ayton with that other big three, KD, Beal, Booker, that's just a lot of people, a lot of mouths to feed, right? And KD is getting his, seeing how Beal's going to play potentially third string already to these guys, it's already going to be interesting. I think getting someone like Nurkic, who is clearly like a team player, a specialist around the rim, a really good defensive big inside. He's the type of anchor they need. Brett, what did you feel like? Did the Suns plug up a hole? Did they leave their flank open? Like, how did you think their strategy was in this deal?
I think this is mostly driven by there was clearly some friction behind the scenes between Ayton, front office staff, coaching staff, etc. I am curious to see how Frank Vogel manages this. I'll put it that way. Vogel is notoriously been old school. Even when he won in 2020, we were fully into the small ball era. Lineups went smaller, faster, more skilled. He couldn't get off pairing Anthony Davis with JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, etc. Even going back to the Indiana days when stretch fours were all the vogue, it was Roy Hibbert and David West. So Nurkic, to me, in today's era and with that Suns roster, seems like a nominal starter, like a Jonas Valanciunas, a guy that starts the game, ends up playing maybe between 20 and 25 minutes. Steven Adams is another guy that kind of fits that mold. But I don't really see him as a guy that's going to be in some of these finishing lineups just because Phoenix is the land of the wings. And even guys like Bol Bol are there. Like, are we going to see super small lineups with him at the 5? How are they going to play Grayson Allen with this group? Like, is Bradley Beal going to be the nominal point guard? Like, what? Like, those are the questions that I want to see. Is this team looks like it's built to embrace a very limited role from Nurkic, but Frank Vogel is also the kind of guy that would probably start and play him 30 minutes a game. So I'm curious to see how that plays out in the regular season.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think we're in for a really, revealing year for Phoenix. Something we talked about with, Milwaukee and making this trade now is some continuity. And Kevin Durant came over mid-season. So this is now like a full year, a full camp for this team to sort of bring it together, making their move before the year starts, get some of that familiarity going. They're 6-1 to win it all. So right behind the Bucks, the feeling is that Milwaukee has a little bit more talent, clearly. Questions around, KD's health, Beal, and everyone playing together, I'm sure, are part of the odds. Win total set at around 52 for this Suns team. Musa, quick, do you think they get past 52 wins?
Look, man, it comes back to the continuity thing and being one as a team. And I think if Ayton stayed, I know Monty Williams isn't there anymore, and it's Frank Vogel. And like Brett said, there was definitely some behind-the-scenes stuff, especially after him sitting out that last playoff game. Now, I don't play for the Suns, so I'll never know exactly. But KD, like you said, came over midseason. They finished 12th in adjusted shot quality, yet they were considered one of the top 5 teams in the NBA last year. They were 13th in adjusted offense, 14th in adjusted defense. They take a lot of mid-range shots. They were really good in the post-up with Ayton and Jock Landale. I expect that to change, and I think Grayson Allen isn't getting talked about enough just because I think he's a big upgrade from Landry Shamet the year before. I like the win total, actually, because I do think a full offseason of KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker working together, coming into the season healthy, which is the most important thing, without a doubt. But the only reserves I have is kind of what Brett said. I'm curious to see how they use their whole roster. Because you got Drew Eubanks, who's supposed to be the second team big. You got now Jusuf Nurkic to start. You have Bol waiting in the wings. You got a lot. Grayson out. Where does he play? Who does he come in? Does he go in for Beal or Booker? And then you have Eric Gordon too. That people forgot all about him. It seems like. Does not Nasir Little live up to some of his potential? Keita Bates-Diop. Yep. There's a lot of question marks, but I do like it because I think those the big 3 are going to light it up early. I might just be optimistic, but that's what I think.
It might be. Hey, a little optimism is never bad around here. We want good basketball, right? I mean, this is a massive deal, creating some, very strong teams in the NBA that we'll probably see matching up in like the final rounds of, whatever comes to be the championship chase when we get into the summer. I mean, we're talking about winning championships. It's in June. It's September 30th. I'm here with Brett and Alec, 2 of our best correspondents from ShotQuality, where we use, the best data in the sport. I'm not going to hide it. I think we're very confident that what we have at ShotQuality, the way that we use location data to understand how valuable a shot is different and unique from anywhere else. There really isn't another type of data that looks into a player's unique individual abilities rather than comparing to an average player in a league. So, we're really liking how our data is looking for this year. We had some really great improvements to the model. We had Ethan on our last episode, who's the senior data scientist. If you haven't checked out our last episode, definitely go look into it. I'll make sure that link pops up at the end of the show. If you're watching this stream on YouTube later, of course, like and subscribe to stuff wherever you're hearing it or watching it if you like what you're seeing. And then the last thing, if you are big into what's going on over at ShotQuality, got to tell you a little bit about our Discord, discord.gg/ShotQuality. Go join the 3 of us. We're always hanging out in there. You can reach us at any time, ask questions. You want a little data, we'll definitely share some cool stuff with you there. First to hear about picks, updates, everything SQ, always in the Discord. So make sure you hop in there if you aren't already. And Brett, Musa, really appreciate you guys dropping in. Massive trade. We'll see how it unfolds. I'd say we could stick around and talk about the Trailblazers, but sitting at a 28.5 win total, really not going to be too exciting. But these guys are. So definitely go check out their work on ShotQuality.com. ShotQualityBets.com is our new fan site. So make sure you check that out. Brett has a new article detailing this trade. You can find the link down below. So there's a lot of really great stuff. And follow my guy Musa over on TikTok at ShotQualityBets. I know there's a lot. We have a lot of stuff, but there's going to be so much good stuff coming to you. Basketball right around the corner. I'm Justin Perri. I'm your host. I'm also going to be doing some really great stuff with the betting site soon. So definitely pay attention, see what's out there. And we'll see you soon. Thank you for watching the ShotQuality Bets podcast.